Spurs Bros, episode 14, coming at you strong. Happy New Year, everybody. It's 2025. Spurs went 2-2 in our last four games, a blowout win over the Clippers. We split with the Nuggets 1-1 and had a disheartening loss to the Bulls, but got a lot to talk about regarding those Nuggets games. From there, we took a long, hard look at answering this question. What do we want out of this season, and how do we get there? Is there a trade to make for somebody to get to our end goals of the season? Long topic for us. We had a lot of thoughts. We want to hear from y'all as well. See if you agree or disagree. And if you got something else that's not on our radar, please let us know. As we mentioned on the pod, this is the dog days of the season. So kind of make or break time for the Spurs. Are we going to go make a playoff push? Or are we going to be sellers at the deadline? Other than that, a lot of Wemby stats to cover. He's making history once again. So stay tuned towards the end for that. But yeah, guys, love the support. If you're listening on YouTube, please hit subscribe, give us a like, leave a comment with your input. If you're listening on Spotify, hit 5-star review for us. Let us know you're listening there, and go give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at Spurs Bros Pod. I'm trying to keep up with y'all as much as we possibly can. Episode 14. Let's get right into it. Here we go.
We ready, dog?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Tres, dos, uno. Alrighty, Spurs Bros. Welcome back to another episode of the Spurs Bros podcast. I am your host, Alec Bogus. These are my co-hosts, Stuart Lynch, Reagan Keogh, and Tim Mendez. Stuart, glad to have you back. Happy New Year. How are
What's
you?
up, fellas? Good to be back. Had a week off traveling. Life happens, but we're back in a
Yes,
new
sir.
state. Let's keep it going.
North
Good.
Carolina, what it do?
I know. It's crazy up here. A little colder than Texas, but I'm getting used to it.
There you go.
Yeah, Dallas about to
Nice.
give you a run for your money, man. Getting cold up here too.
Yeah, we got beanies on and everything. Same, just South Texas in general. Texas in
Yeah.
general. Nice, man. Yeah, well, Stu, we missed you last episode. It felt a little quiet on the pod, I must say. And
Didn't have me complaining all the time.
didn't have exactly. But guess what? And also our numbers weren't as high. I don't know if that was because of the holidays or just because
We
they're
can't give
missing
Stu
your
all the
charm.
credit, but
Yeah, the people miss my face.
Exactly.
Hello, everyone.
they can't see it anymore with all the beard.
I gotta stay warm.
No, man, it was great end of the year, and it was a great beginning of the year. So we Spurs Bros who did not see, we won big against the Clippers on New Year's Eve. We beat the Clippers at home 122-86. That's a great way to end 2024. And then we just kept that momentum going into 2025 with the win over the Denver Nuggets on January 3rd in Denver, 113-110. We'll get into that very shortly. That was a great game. Actually, both Denver games were really great. So, did anyone watch that Clippers game really quickly? We don't need to dive into it much, but it looked like it was just finally a blowout win for the Spurs. It looked good.
There wasn't much there other than just straight Spurs dominance. I mean, I think we had in the teens of guys scoring, getting on the board. Everybody played. We had our reserves in pretty early in the fourth quarter. We never let up, like in that late third quarter kind of area where we've been letting teams creep back in. It just didn't happen. I mean, we were hot. We were clicking on offense. We were playing good defense, hustling. Everybody was making plays. It was just a good old-fashioned ass whooping the Spurs laid on the Clippers, and it was really fun to watch that to close out 24.
Yeah, man. Our boys showed up. Just we're all business. Our young guys are there to play. Get through the game, whatever. The Clippers had bottles and babes on their mind. They were ready for party New Year's Eve, so they didn't show up ready to play. Ours did. Let's go, easy dub.
Great win. Yeah, as Reagan said, we didn't let them back into it. The first time we played them, we did let them back into it. We jumped off to a hot start against them, and we blew it. This time we didn't. So it was good. We almost 40-pieced them, but, late game runs, all that stuff happened. So fun fact there, after that game, the Spurs win over the Clippers put our team at a winning record at the turn of the calendar, 17-16, for the first time since they were 21-17 at the end of 2018. That's crazy. Six years since we went into the new year with a winning record. So
that's depressing.
Bravo, boys. Yeah.
That was the year, though, that we had our last playoff run.
Yeah, wasn't that Manu's last year?
Right? Yeah, it was 2018 going into 2019. So that was the year that we went and played the Nuggets in the playoffs.
And we were a play-in team the next couple of years. So yeah, that's pretty wild. That's the first time since 2018.
Yes, sir. Manu's last year, 2017, 2018. Oh wait, well then that would be
I think it's saying like to close out the end of 2018.
Okay.
So it's the 18-19 season, which is
18,
when we went
19.
to the playoffs against the Nuggets in
Okay,
Boston
but Manu
7.
wasn't there though. Yeah,
Yeah.
Nor
he returned.
Kawhi.
Yeah, right. Oh, right. Yeah,
Right. That was the year Kawhi won in
one.
Toronto. Yeah.
Ugh,
Yeah.
all right, enough of that. So that was the fun fact. Fun fact turned sad fact.
Real quick.
Moving along. So after that game, like I said, New Year's Eve, we go up and we win against the Nuggets in Denver, 113 to 110. We were in the altitude. Didn't look like it bothered us too much, maybe a little bit. Actually, Wemby, some you could tell he was huffing and puffing to
Early.
start the game.
Yeah.
But man, that was an awesome win to start off 2025. What a nail biter that was. That game, I wanted to say, it showcased why Wemby and Jokic, those matchups should always be from here on out must see TV. It's got to be nationally televised because every matchup they go at it and they respect each other. It's not like they're jawing at each other, but everyone just puts up big numbers. So in that game, Wemby had 35 points, 18 rebounds, and 4 3-pointers made. Jokic had 41 points, 18 rebounds, and 9 assists. And that was the first time opponents had 35 plus points and 18 plus rebounds in the same game since 1983. What an awesome game. I want to let y'all talk about what y'all saw there before I talk about a few details for me.
Dude, Bill Simmons called it the game of the year in the NBA. Rob Perez said this is absolutely electric. He said, y'all, if you're not watching right now, you got to tune in. And yeah, like you said, Alec, message to Adam Silver. Wemby versus Jokic is appointment television. Adam Silver, national TV. Put it out there for everybody to watch because every time that they face up against each other in the first year and a half of Wemby's career so far has been absolutely electric. But the thing that is cool, honestly, is like Jokic does really adjust his game to play for Wemby. You see him do a lot of stuff that he doesn't normally do, and he still goes up and puts up 41 and 18.
Crazy.
He's the best player in the world right now. I know we want to say Wemby's there. Jokic is still the dude, but really cool to see our second year guy go toe to toe with that level of talent. And the coolest thing about your stat, Alec, was the fact that those big men, that matchup you said first opponents with 35-18 since 1983,
Mm-hmm.
Moses Malone, which makes sense. He was a big numbers guy, Hall of Famer. But I had no idea that Clark Kellogg had it like that. I know
Yeah.
Clark from 2K and from NBA TV, but I had no idea that Clark Kellogg used to have it like that. That's crazy.
Yeah, man, that was unbelievable. I mean, the last defensive possession, you mentioned worldwide wob. I guess I don't know if that's a well-known thing, a well-known move that Jokic does, the Sombor shuffle, but he was like, "Oh my God, Wemby just stopped the Sombor shuffle," where he got him up in the air and Jokic had to make that cross-court pass, got picked off by Devin that basically iced it. But yeah,
Yeah.
what a ending sequence. That was by far the best we've closed a crunch time game on the road. And we couldn't do it last night against Chicago. But yeah, very entertaining game. Worldwide Wob also does his game ratings like in the early afternoon, 0 through 100, what he thinks is the best game is going to be. And the next night, the second Denver game, he gave it like a 90 something. It was by far his best game. So yeah, that's going to put, I mean, it should have already been on notice, but yeah, going forward for sure, national TV every time
It's
Jokic
gotta
win.
be.
Yep.
It's gotta be. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen Jokic have to pass out of that move that he's got because he's fallen away a little bit like Dirk and he already shoots it above his head back here, but I've never seen him have to make that to pass out of that. And then Devin just reads it, cuts it off, and puts the exclamation point on the end there with the dunk to seal it and put us up by 4, which meant a lot to some people.
I about to say it felt so good. I felt like I won money. That's good.
Yeah, dude, watching that game in Dayton, Ohio, laying in a hotel bed, start going nuts. I'm like, it's over. So those who don't know, I had a lay going that night. Needed Devin Vassell over 6.5 field goals made. He was at 6. We're up by 1 on defense, 8 seconds left. I was like, oh yeah, so we either lose or I was like praying. Obviously, I always want the Spurs to win. But I was all right. Let's foul them. They make 1 or 2 free throws, OT, I still got life. Instead, Jokic, for whatever reason, I still think he could have got it off over Wemby for what it's worth. For whatever reason, passes it, awful pass, Devin steal. And then, for what it's worth, he could have gone to the corner, ran out the clock. That probably would have been the smarter play because we were up 1. He dunks it.
Yep.
I'm going nuts. Wake up the baby. I'm in the doghouse, whatever. But I'm going nuts. Jump up. I text, I just won $1,000, whatever. But then I look back real quick. They launch it down court to MPJ. He gets up
he got it off.
It was a deep shot, but, it was in front of half court, so he got it off. And, he makes that. We go to OT. So in hindsight, Devin should have probably, ran it out to the corner. He had no one. Jamal Murray had given up on the play. He was done with it. But, yeah. I'm good with it. Won money. Spurs won. Big night. I had the Dayton, Ohio Hilton Hotel up in flames. It was good.
That's awesome. No, and also I think I saw Wemby trailing as well. I thought he could have dumped it off to Wemby for just a throwdown jam as well. But I'm glad he put it in, man. That's awesome. Good win. One of the things that I wanted to touch on in that game, which I saw a couple people mention on Twitter, but I noticed this watching it in real time, was part of the game plan, which worked out well for us, was basically identical to what we did against Sacramento Kings and Sabonis earlier in the season. So we just put Wemby and a guard, most likely Devin Vassell, like a shooting guard, and high screen and roll, and make them switch because Sabonis was lazy to switch, and then Jokic was lazy to switch all game. And I think we just totally took advantage of that. So now you have Jamal Murray switch on him a few times, and then you had Devin Vassell exploiting Jokic all game. So it was a nice balance, and I liked that matchup. I liked that point of attack, and it worked well. So
also on that night, they still were putting Russ and freaking Peyton Watson. I know Wemby had 35 that night, but then the night we lost, the next night he didn't go off as much. And just when I see again, we've been kind of ranked on all year, but Peyton Watson, some rando, and then Russ, kind of locking down Wemby, making him pass out and stuff. Still very annoying to see when you got a foot on all these guys.
Yeah, I know. That's true.
And we're going to have to deal with it the rest of the season. But, let's just hope he can get stronger and stuff in the future to where he has true advantages all over the court. If big is on him, if guard's on him, whatever. But that's all will come with time.
Totally. And that's something I was starting to see in really Wemby's last few games. I'd say even maybe 8 games. Wemby's done a better job of balancing out his point of attack. So not just jacking up a bunch of threes. Obviously, that threat is there. He's established that because now he's like, everyone's looking at the scouting report and saying, okay, this guy takes at least 10 threes a game. So, or close to it. Now, Keldon had that and one toward the end of that game. Wemby had that up fake. Basically, was triple team, 3 guys in his face, and he dumped it down to Keldon. Yeah. Keldon got that and one.
Triple team from like 2 feet behind the freaking 3-point line. Absolutely nuts.
Right. But the other thing was he just established himself, had a solid base, turn around off the backboard. Beautiful shot, off an angle shot. Like I liked seeing those moves from Wemby. So I like the balancing out there. You have something to say?
Balancing out there, but why don't we transition you into some good passes and then some not so good passes here and there.
Okay.
What are you thinking about that?
Oh, man. Okay. Don't get me started. All right. So, first off, I got to say this. I got to preface this. Let's do this a sandwich, right? We do the
Coach K. Yeah. Praise, criticism, praise.
Yeah, exactly. After that game, people were starting to compare Wemby and LeBron through their first 29 games in their sophomore seasons. Wemby, 25.9 points a game, 10.3 rebounds per game, 4 assists per game, 3.9 blocks per game, a steal a game. He's shooting 87% from the free throw line. Compared to LeBron, who is just basically trailing all of those stats except for assists. He was up in assists and steals, and that was about it. Everything else, Wemby was up on, and he's doing it in like 8 less minutes, right? And so that's very impressive. I mean, I don't know if y'all remember LeBron in his sophomore year. He was super scary. So
crazy.
That said.
There's the praise. Right. Let's get to the shit.
Yeah, all right. So here's a criticism. And I've mentioned this not once, not twice, probably 3 times already since we started recording this podcast, but Wemby just needs to take care of the ball. It seems like every time that he's going to turn a corner, he reverts back. So toward the end of the year, the end of the season, not the end of the season, the end of the calendar year, the last 2 games we lost against the Timberwolves, he only had 1 turnover. Great. We still lost, but great. And then that New Year's Eve game, he had 2 turnovers. So I'm still fine with it. And then you turn the calendar year and then he reverts. So his next 3 games after that, he had 7 turnovers, 4 turnovers, and then 5 turnovers against the Chicago Bulls, which is our latest game that we played. And so here's the thing. I know he's 7'3", and I know his usage is very high. But here's the thing: is he wants to be the GOAT, right? So this is not like me being overly demanding of him. And like I've said, I've mentioned this since the start of this podcast. He needs to be better. And so I want to compare him in his game a little bit to Manu, right? I don't know if y'all remember Manu, but like Wemby sees the game in a very, very unique way, right? He sees things other people can't just because he's 7'3". Literally, he sees things that other people cannot see on the floor. But then also just the lens in which he views the game is also different. But that was how Manu was, right? And I don't know if you remember Pop. Pop like couldn't stand Manu when he first started his career. He said he was like, I was almost having heart attacks like watching Manu play. He had short leashes all the time. He'd pull him out after a turnover. What was this? What was that? And it wasn't until Manu went up to Pop and said, Pop, this is who I am. I think it was that moment. This is what I do. I'm Manu. Yeah, I think that's what he said. It wasn't until then Pop was finally like, okay, fine, I give in. And so I say a lot to say Manu averaged 2 turnovers throughout his whole 16-year career. And that's crazy to think about given the fact that like all the passes, he thread the needle on so many passes, all the unique angles he took to the basket and all the crazy things that he did, he still only averaged 2 turnovers a game. And so I don't think it's unfair for me to say Wemby at least try to average 2. I'd say maybe 3 by the end of the year. If we can get to 3 or less, I'll be happy. But 2 should be his goal. So what do y'all think?
So I love the fact that you like the sentiment is there because I agree. You look at a game, he has 5 turnovers, he has 7 turnovers. Some of them are just sloppy, like the lob last night to Sohan that was just way too high. He couldn't corral it. He's trying to make some of these behind the back passes without looking. He's making swing passes that in theory should be there, but they're not there because he hasn't checked whether the man has slid yet. It's stuff like that that kills us, right?
Correct.
But at the same time, we're comparing him to LeBron a second ago in his second year, and Wemby's beating him out on all these stats. The difference between LeBron and Manu is the usage rate. So while I think your rant is going to resonate a ton with a lot of angry Spurs Twitter, and I'm halfway with you, the other half of me wants to play devil's advocate and say, okay, Manu as a sixth man does not have the same usage that Wemby or LeBron did. And if you look at LeBron's first 2 years in the league, his rookie season, he averaged 3.5 turnovers a game, and his second year, he averaged 3.3 turnovers a game. So far, Wemby in his freshman rookie year averaged 3.7. This year, he's at 3.6. So about the same both seasons. Slightly more than LeBron. LeBron is, if he's a standard bearer, he's right there. And I think the usage rate is very similar to LeBron compared to Manu.
Sure.
So we're asking a lot. Yes, he needs to cut the turnovers, but I think he's going to develop that. And like I mentioned like last night, Bulls game late, he knows that he's got somebody open in the corner, but he had Sohan and Harrison Barnes equally open. He makes the pass off natural instinct to the near side corner, which is Sohan, to take that last second 3. But I think I have every confidence that he's going to develop more of this vision to say, okay, this corner is Sohan. I've got HB in the other corner. He's hit 3 of them tonight. I need to take that extra quarter second, turn my body and hit him because we're going to live with that pass. So I think like long-winded way of saying his usage is higher. He's got to bring down the turnovers, but can we expect him to be at 2 a game? I don't think so, with as much as we're going to ask him to create plays throughout his minutes in the game. It will come. I want to have patience. Wemby wants to have patience, but yeah, dude, like some of these turnovers are shit.
That's my big point.
I'm like 1 foot in and 1 foot out with your argument.
I also completely agree on usage and all that, but we also can't deny the fact that if we're going to compare to second-year LeBron, which is 2004, and then Manu's time, whole different generation of basketball. Let's talk about the number now of possessions in a game compared to back then. No matter what, back then people were using 20 seconds per shot clock every possession. Here, you're getting four or five possessions a minute, sometimes just jacking up threes. So naturally, I'm sure if we look at all numbers around the league, I'm sure turnover rates are way higher than what they once were. So we can't deny that fact that, when scoring is higher and the game is way faster nowadays, up and down, a lot of quick passes, a lot of chucking up shots, just naturally more turnovers will happen.
I think, no, it's funny that you wrote this down for this episode because I feel like I noticed it more than usual this past week too. And especially the last two games, which we both lost in crunch time. And he had a couple each game, it seemed like towards the end. Reagan already said it, like some of them are just really lazy looking. He doesn't make the read quite fast enough. And I think it'll come with time too. But you look at the other turnover leaders, and I mean, it makes sense that he's going to have like 3.5, but I agree it needs to come down a little bit. He's 20, he just turned 21. He'll learn more, but he does, try to make some unnecessary cross court that probably isn't going to make it through. But I do, we've talked about Wemby and Sohan on the floor at the same time. Is that clogging the paint? But I actually like his chemistry with Sohan on those lobs, on those cuts that Jeremy makes to the basket. So, I mean, I'm not worried about it. It just felt like it was more on display and critical points in the game this past week.
Do these lazy passes come with fatigue and being tired from still not being in shape halfway through the season?
That mix definitely makes it look way worse when you combine the two.
Do they all happen in the first, like when he's tired at the midway through the first quarter before he comes out? Is that why he's on these minutes? Maybe because Spurs front office and coaching staff have seen what we're not seeing. Like, okay, once he does start getting tired, 5-6 minutes in, unfortunately, boom, 2 turnovers in a 1 or 2 minute span. All right, he's being lazy with the ball. Let's get him out. But
very well
and
could
Stuart, I love the point about possessions per game. I went and looked it up while you were talking there. So in 2004, 2005, which was LeBron's second year, like we're talking about, the number one team in possessions per game was the Phoenix Suns with 99.2 possessions per game. So that was Steve Nash, Amar Stoudemire, 7 seconds or less, D'Antoni Suns. 99.2 per game. This season, 99.2 would be dead last.
Yeah, that is crazy.
The last team in the league right now is Orlando at 99.9. So they're still getting almost a full possession more than the fastest paced team 20 years ago. That's crazy to think about. So you mix in the 10 to 12 possessions per game and a higher usage rate. What are we? How much can we ask for? But y'all are making great points. The fact that it comes on display when he gets tired, and it seems to be critical points, and it seems like some of the mistakes are unnecessary pass attempts.
That's where the sentiment came from. This is why I even wrote all this down to begin with. It's not I do fully believe that he's going to develop that. He's going to watch enough. He's going to have enough reps in the film room. He's going to have enough reps as a basketball player. He's going to get stronger. He's going to, all of these things are going to get improve, but it's just how they come, or some of them, right? Because not every turnover is created equal, but it's just the ones where it does look super telegraphed and it looks like he's being a little too cerebral. Like you can see it. Like you can see him trying to be long and then try to make a wraparound pass or a cross court, and it's coming. Like I think those are the things, and especially late in the game, that's where that sentiment came from. It's just that's all I had to say. So not to dig on him so much. That's the criticism, and then back to the praise part to end the sandwich is happy birthday, Wemby. It was his birthday on January 4th, so 4 days after we were recording this, 4 days after his birthday. So happy 21st birthday, young fella. We love you, man. So
he can finally try some of that Bordeaux from his home country.
I know. I wonder if he drinks, by the way. I always wonder about that.
If he doesn't, I
think he's sober,
Yeah, that makes sense. Can see him
he cares about his body too much, I feel like.
Right. There you go. Moving along. Either way, that 7 turnovers, it came in that win against the Denver Nuggets. So it still resulted in a win nonetheless. It's all fine. But then we come back, we play a back-to-back game against the Denver Nuggets and we lose in overtime at home in San Antonio. We lose 122 to 111. Obviously, it was tied going into overtime, and then they just sort of broke away at the end. We could tell, after they scored twice, I was like, okay, we don't got it. And so what did y'all see there? That was a tough loss. I felt like we should have etched that one out. Does anyone want to talk about the game in general?
I
How did we
mean,
lose that game?
so yeah, my whole thing going into the game was right, like we said, it was game of the year in Denver, and we turn around, it's a back-to-back, both teams fly to San Antonio, and in my head, I'm like, okay, last night was huge for our confidence, but if we sweep in this little two-game mini series, if we can come out with two wins against Jokic and put respect on his name, damn it, former MVP Russell Westbrook and the champion mindset Denver Nuggets. If we can come out with both of those wins, I felt like that was going to legit catapult us into a new echelon of teams in the NBA. So I low key had a lot of hope going into it. It felt very similar to the night before. Jokic and Wemby were dueling like crazy. Other guys were chipping in. It was competitive the whole game, and it felt like, not every team goes into Denver and then goes and plays a back to back the next game. Denver does it all the time because that's their home court.
Yep.
So I think they were more used to that sort of altitude and then altitude adjustment off travel back to back. It just seems like we ran out of steam at the end. And while I would have loved to have that win, I understand us not pulling it out.
Same.
But yeah, man, a win like that against a team like that, I really, really think it would have been a major like floor raiser for us. So disappointing to not pull it out at the end.
Yeah, that was, man, that third quarter, we got off to such a hot start and I was feeling really good. I thought even after the first Denver game, I was like, we'll probably still split it. I can't see Denver losing. When teams play each other back to back 2 days in a row, it usually ends in a split unless the team is just really bad. But man, I was really hopeful after that third quarter. And then we kind of just lay an egg in the fourth. We scored, 16 points in the fourth.
Yep.
And obviously Jokic killed us, but Michael Porter Jr. too, we just he couldn't freaking miss, it seemed like, in the second half. Yeah, I completely agree with Reagan. I think if we won that game, I think it carries over to Chicago, and man, we'd be 4 games over 500 right now. So yeah, very deflating loss. And yeah, overtime you could tell immediately we just didn't have it. And there was you guys saw that Jokic free throw with the ref. He's like, "What was that pass?" Just
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh God, that pissed me off." I
Made a
don't know
big deal of it.
The ref was real quick, like, "Oh, my bad, my bad, my bad." I
Yeah.
was like, "Shut up."
I'm so sorry.
But,
I'm so sorry. Yeah.
especially wanted to win that after that.
Yeah, I remember that. That was fun.
That's not a Joker move, honestly. He's not really a diva like that. Usually, I'm surprised he would do that, but
right.
it is what it is.
It gets to you. The MVP gets to you. So let's see here. Yeah, Wemby had himself a game. It wasn't as explosive of a game on offense. He had 20 points, but he did have a whopping 23 rebounds that game. That was monster. So 20 and 23, again, is the stat line that Wemby had. And then Nikola Jokic had 46 points, 10 assists, and 9 rebounds. That's just, again, that's must-see TV, folks. Those back-to-back games, you telling me, like, you don't put those on, like, every station available for everybody to watch? That's craziness.
A lot of those points aren't coming on Wemby, though. Let's get that straight. We're ever going to talk backup center for the Spurs. A lot of those points are coming on Bassie those 2 nights, and I don't even know if Zach got him, but yeah.
Yeah.
He wasn't dominating Wemby to get those 45 by any means, but.
True that. One thing I will say also is we mentioned this last podcast too, but we are comparing Stephon Castle and this clear correlation, direct correlation between the amount of minutes that he plays. If he plays over 20 minutes, we have a very high probability of winning the game. And if he plays less than 20 minutes, then we have a very low probability of winning the game. And sure enough, that stat has stood. In that second game against the Denver Nuggets, he played 16 minutes,
Wow.
and we went to overtime, right? So you got that. And then if you reverse that, the game that we did win, he played 24 minutes, which makes way more sense. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, y'all know
He
how I
played
feel about Steph. I mean,
He played 19 against the Bulls and we lost. Yeah.
and we lost again. Yeah. So literally the stat is holding up. And y'all know how I feel about it. I've been saying it for a couple weeks now. Some people are calling his rookie wall, whatever. I think all his confidence came down, all that when he got taken out of the starting lineup, and he literally has not been the same player since. And Devin's still going out there, put up 11 points last night, 7 in the first quarter, then four points over 3 quarters to end the game. That's not being a number 2 on a team, getting paid 30 whatever mil. So I think, yeah, Steph, not only, I totally agree with you, needs to start getting more minutes, but also I would love to see that lineup get switched back to our best 5 plus minus lineup in the league. Let's get Julian and Steph back in there, Jeremy and Devin back on the bench, and let's run with that. All we need to do, even Steph said it the other night after loss in a post game, is like, in today's West, it's crazy to say, but like a 5-game win streak will do so. It's only 5 games, but just a little 5-game win streak would do so much, because that's so tight, and everyone's right around the 500 mark right now. So yeah, I would love to get Steph back in there. Julian we can't deny he's our best shooter on the team. That's just a fact now. Making $3 million a year, he's the best catch and shooter on the team we got. He needs more minutes. Yeah,
I was thinking, is it because Harrison Barnes is playing better? Who is it? But Harrison Barnes didn't lose any minutes or gain any minutes when Stephon. It's not that he's splitting time with it.
It's Jeremy and Devin being healthy again.
Man.
We are 9-13 on the year with Jeremy playing Spurs basketball.
Okay.
That's a fact.
Fine. I don't want Jeremy to be scapegoat, though, because he brings more to it. I think it has more to do with where Steph and Devin and Julian and even Sohan are in the lineup, rather than the fact that Sohan is playing basketball for the Spurs.
So then we veer to Mitch.
I mean, a little bit, yeah.
So
I kind of went off last week. We got to put it
on someone. If we can't
put
it on Jeremy,
last week on Mitch.
Yeah, we can't put it on the players. It's got to be on the coaching at this point. I'd say another bad week for Mitch, honestly. We come out 1-2 over 3 close games.
Yep.
That's coaching at the end.
Blowout against the Clippers, yeah, but 2-2, but yeah.
Dude, but then the close games, 3
winnable games, we were 1-2.
Yeah, we could have been 4-0 on the week.
Dude, that's exactly what, I don't know, Spurs Twitter is kind of talking about a little bit. Was after that latest loss against the Chicago Bulls, which we'll get into right now, is he said, "Hey, Wemby, it looks like y'all are trying to, y'all are struggling to score late in the fourth quarter, late in games. What's happening there?" He said, "Yeah, it looks like other teams are adapting and we're not." And so he's like, other teams have more than one game plan. We should have one too. And so somebody was like, "Yo, is he low-key digging at Mitch right there?" And
I don't know if he is.
I can't read that any other way.
But I mean, the fact of the matter is, I sent you all that post, that breakdown, and I should credit whoever posted that on Twitter, at Steph No. Really good observation here. Mitch Johnson got outcoached final stretch of the game last night, because the Bulls had Josh Giddey on the floor guarding Chris Paul, he's a bad screen navigator, which allowed Vucevic to have to switch on to CP3, and he cooked him 3 plays in a row. Billy Donovan calls timeout. He subs Giddey out for Lonzo Ball, a much better defender. Lonzo fought through those screens. That play was no longer there.
Yep.
And we were having a struggle to find the right passes, dissect the play from there, when the Bulls had the correct defensive matchups on the game. Mitch didn't adjust. Chris Paul didn't adjust as a point guard, but Mitch didn't. You got to adjust to the adjustments. This is the NBA. You got to recognize this shit quick and get on it. And Billy Donovan, 20-year head coach, he's proven himself as one of, probably a top 10 coach in the league. Mitch is just starting out, but that's the kind of stuff you got to have, because that's a difference-making adjustment in the last 3 minutes of a game. I feel like the rumblings are starting to be there. We're being hard on them, somebody might say, but at the same time, bro, we're trying to win these games. We can't. Yep. I mean, all the players are saying it. The young excuse is out the door. Let's try harder. That's out the door. Nobody's happy with that anymore. The players want to go win. I know the coaches do too, but everybody's got to level up a bit.
Yeah, I think Mitch, as a young coach, he's going to fall back and trust the more veteran guys on the team. Whenever Trey's been out there this season, I thought he's been going to Trey more, and we've seen the Chris Paul and Trey Jones double point guard lineups out there. And, Harrison's going to be out there in crunch time. I'm not saying he shouldn't be, but, Jeremy, I love Jeremy, and as great as he is on defense, in a crunch time game where we need scoring, yeah, maybe he shouldn't be out there. But, Steph, I love Steph, and yes, I obviously agree he needs more playing time. And he's going to be a future starter on the team. And Stu, you said maybe his confidence has gone down since he got taken out of the starting lineup. But yeah, he has made some rookie mistakes more recently. And I could see that being why Mitch, maybe he hasn't been playing him as much. But yeah, these crunch time games, I don't know. He's still trying to figure out the lineup. Like, Julian is our best catch and shoot three guy, like you said, Stu. But I feel like he also has made multiple big time mistakes at the end of these games. So I don't know. I don't know what the right lineup is.
He has, Tim. You're right, but
Yeah,
like
that Philly game.
Yeah, that's what well, I was gonna say. The New York game, Christmas Day, when it ended up in Jeremy's hands, and we're like, if that was Champagny taking that shot, we love that. And it was the same thing last night. If that's coming after a timeout. If that's Champagny on the floor, he doesn't have to go make the mistakes like you're talking about on defense because he's made those mistakes and it's been glaring. But if we can make that offense for defense substitution, man, get Champagny on the court instead of Sohan.
Yeah.
So I like the train track that you're on over there.
Yep.
Steph's usage is also way higher in the second unit, boys. He's like, the point guard basically, because Trey doesn't come in to the start of the second quarter. When he starts the game, it's all in Chris's hands, and Wemby, he's like the fourth option and that's when he's thriving. He's not ready to be the main guy, and even it's a second unit yet. And yeah, so again, rookie wall, you can call it whatever, but I think he's playing better around better players, and he's playing down to other people's level. Because he's better than what he's been looking like for the past month now since he's been pulled from the starting lineup.
Yep. I want to share my screen really quickly. I kind of wanted to talk about that play and that breakdown, Reagan, that you were talking about. You alluded to it earlier in the podcast, and then you talked about the breakdown from this guy who you just shouted out. This is exactly what happened toward the end of the game. So Chris Paul was cooking Josh Giddey. They made the adjustment. Billy Donovan did. And so you've got now Lonzo Ball guarding and put him in a high screen and roll. You've got Sohan in the corner. Reagan, you were talking about earlier in the podcast, you said, maybe and hopefully Wemby's game develops so that he doesn't make that first pass that's available to him. And he knows that, hey, I've got, in this case, Harrison Barnes in the corner.
Yeah.
So all he has to do is turn. So this is exactly what happens here. I'm just going to run it. If it doesn't play well, that's fine. He hits him. Boom. Kick
right there.
Flank.
Look at Barnes on the other side, dude.
Yep.
If you go back to Wemby's catch right there,
yeah,
Barnes is just as open.
I know. All he has to do is just turn and
look at that. Because you've got Levine sinking into the paint the same way that Patrick Williams is. But everybody's gravitating. Wemby's, if he's going to be the guy, I know it's year two, but if he's going to be the guy, he has to understand who is in what corner. He has to know this offense like a point guard would and understand where each person on the floor who's currently on the floor is. And you can't then choose Sohan over Barnes in that instance.
100%.
And yeah, that should have been the last option. Sohan. Honestly, look who's there. Pat Williams and Paul. He could turn around and dunk it, or just lay it up right over him too. Or the 2 points.
Yeah, fake it exactly. Fake a pass to the corner, and you also have look at Sohan's man. You can just go backdoor on his man. Like he's playing off of him. He's trying to help right there. He can cut backdoor, so he doesn't even have to have the option to shoot the three. Right?
Yeah, I know. I know. Jeremy's been getting some threes. I know he's been making them lately, but he's got to go back to someone's got to give him the red light, and he's got to learn to cut. Yeah, like you said, cut back door right there. He's not a guy to be standing around the 3-point line waiting to shoot.
Exactly. So then
I feel like Jeremy usually does do a pretty good job of cutting. He just didn't do it.
Right. Exactly. And I understand it's late in the game. Things tighten up and tense up. You're still 21 or 22 years old. I understand it. Still young guy stuff, but that's no longer an excuse, as we said. So look at this play now. This is also interesting. So now Jeremy Sohan just missed one. He just clanked one from the corner, right? And they're going to run the same action. Look what Jeremy does. If you see, so now they have Devin Vassell in that left wing, as you see him, and you got Sohan moving to that short corner on the right side. But because he's such a non-threat as a shooter, you've got his man helping off, no problem, on Wemby's roll to the basket. So now Chris Paul can't even throw it to Wemby. So look, he takes and he rolls, and Sohan's man steps up. You know what I mean? So that pass isn't over there. So now Chris Paul's got to take the shot, and it's a tough shot, contested shot over Vucevic.
Pat
So
Yeah,
Williams has
because
no worry about him back there. He
no
does
worry.
yeah,
not
because
care.
when it was reversed, Vassell was up on the wing and
Correct.
Barnes was in the corner, but now it's having to be like wing extended and short corner. So yeah, the spacing's off.
Right.
Yeah.
It's 4-on-5 basketball. It's awful.
Exactly
Yep.
right. So even you try to mask the stink, if you will, by just moving Sohan out of the play, and it doesn't help because he's just his man's just there to help out. So that was all I had, and I just kind of want to do a quick film breakdown there. But yeah, just to tie that all in there. Yeah, boys, that was a devastating loss. Probably the most disappointing of the year for sure,
Yeah,
as we kind of touched
I
on.
said worst loss of the season.
Yeah.
19 point lead in the third quarter against the sorry Bulls, looking to trade all their players away and tank, and they come back against us and we lose. Embarrassing.
Let's see, we had a 15-point lead at halftime, I think, and it was just down to 13, just down 2 points at the end of the third. But I was starting to not feel good. I thought the Bulls were starting to get some momentum. And yeah, I wasn't feeling very good about the fourth. And sure enough, second game in a row that what did I say? 16 points in the fourth in
Mhm.
the Denver game and 15 last night. Yeah,
Oh,
that's not going to cut
Yeah.
it.
Nope.
And Zach LaVine absolutely cooked our two best defenders, Steph Castle, and then when Jeremy was back on him. I think he ended with 35 on the night. So
yeah.
What Jeremy's good for is D. And I wasn't good last night. So
That's no bueno. And it sucks even worse because us on the Spurs Bros podcast, we talked about how we did not want Kobe White in a potential trade, and Kobe White basically shined at the end, kind of dunked on Wemby a little
He
bit.
dunked around the
He-
vicinity of Wemby.
yeah, basically responsible for putting them over the top in that game.
Yeah.
So that was just really tough to see. That kind of leads into this whole idea and this topic of we're 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. What do we want? What are we trying to accomplish? What is the end goal for this season, this
yeah.
2024-2025 season? This is something we talked about in our group chat, but we said, hey, let's just pause it. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Reagan, do you have any more context there, or did you just want to kind of leave it open there?
Yeah, I mean the only other context that can before we really get into it, right now we're 10th in the West and at 18 and 18. We are 3 games off of the 4 seed, which is the Denver Nuggets at 20 and 14. Between the Nuggets at 4 and the Suns at 12, 4 games separate those what is it, 8 teams, 9 teams. Everything is so stacked and bunched up. So there's still a lot of season left. There's still another 5 weeks till the trade deadline, 6 weeks till the trade deadline, whatever it is. Plenty of opportunity to go and make a real run at this thing and be not just a play-in team, but a playoff team. There's no reason like if you tell me that the Spurs end up with the 5 seed or the 6 seed, I'm not surprised one bit. It means that we grew up a little bit. We won a couple extra games than people think we're going to right now. But the way, like you said, 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, that's not going to get us there. So my goal is postseason basketball, but I would love to not have to worry about the play-in, which is getting a top 6 seed.
Mm.
How do we get there? Is it with this roster? I don't think so. I think we
No.
can all agree that we want some sort of action to happen before the trade deadline in February. Now, my whole debate that I was talking about earlier was the biggest name that's been attached to the Spurs so far is De'Aaron Fox. Seriously. And Stuart, I think your question earlier today was what? Sohan and 4 firsts?
Sohan, Trey, and 3 firsts.
Okay, yeah. To me, I'm not ready right now this year, Wemby's second season, to push that many chips in. Because I think we're still getting a look at Steph Castle. We're still getting a look at Sohan. And that's a lot of draft capital that we have meticulously built up for a one-time All-Star. Is De'Aaron Fox a top 3 point guard? Maybe. He could be. There's the argument to be made. Is he a championship point guard? Is he the guy for the next 7 years? I don't know. And I believe in Steph Castle, so I would rather see us go make a move for either wing depth, consolidate some of our roster, and go get a legit rotation 6'8" small forward, power forward, versatile wing. But my number one on the wish list right now is a legitimate backup center. ship Zach Collins and a guard or two guards on our roster, give somebody an extra pick or two in draft capital, and go get Valanciunas from DC or Nick Richards from Charlotte or Claxton from Brooklyn or somebody like that that can go be a legitimate defensive stopper that doesn't need the ball in his hands to play with that second unit so that we're not getting torched by guys like over the hill Nikolai Vucevic when we play Chicago. That's my number one on the wish list. But what do you guys like? What's the move that you would legitimately make, or the piece that you would go after right now, if you don't have a specific player in mind?
I think it just comes back down to the question that Alec asked and you asked: what do we want from this season? Does our front office want still a lottery pick this season? That's again, it's not looking good for the Hawks or Bulls. So, I mean, is that what we're still banking on, a lottery pick this season, or are we fine getting a late teens pick and then making some real moves to make us a run at it? And we hate to say it, we don't want to waste a year of Wemby's career. CP is 40 years old, this, that, the other, but we know how slow and methodical our front office is, and they're thinking about 10 years from now, not this year. So it's tough for us to know. As fans, of course, right now, we want to win this year. Don't worry about next year. We don't know what's going to happen. God forbid, what if Wemby got an injury, this, that, the other. Wemby's healthy this year. Let's go win now. But our front office isn't thinking like that. They never have. And that's what's tough. How you're talking, you threw out Valanciunas. I said earlier in our group chat, I was like, okay, we throw away Zach Collins, someone else, and one first maybe for a 32-year-old Valanciunas to be a backup center, getting 15 to 20 minutes. What's that? Is that going to make us a 6 seed? Is that gonna thread the needle for us? I don't think so. And then boom, there goes one of our first round picks that we've saved up, like we're talking about. I don't think we should be splitting up these first, send 1 or 2 first round picks for Cam Johnson. I'm down for Cam, the great rotation guy. Is he going to make us a championship team? I don't know. I don't think so. I am more confident in getting a per se De'Aaron Fox and sending 3 or 4 first and shipping off Trey, someone whose contract is expiring this year, sending off maybe Jeremy. We'll have to send one of them. But realistically, I also said earlier, even Wemby's talking about it now. This isn't our final team. We're not going to be a champ. Like, our star is saying that, so he knows, he's aware, and just kind of hinting like, hey, I want to win now, and this team ain't it. I'm much more in the ball field of let's go win now. I'm down to trade for someone. And it is a big name. I know we're like waiting for a big name to come up. When's that going to happen? In today's NBA, it's so rare, especially with the CBA rules. No stars are really leaving anymore. They're all extending. I know Jimmy is right now, but Jimmy's 35 years old. No, we don't want him. But for a De'Aaron Fox, he's 27, just starting his prime realistically. I mean, other than that, the only ones in the near future could be D Book or Ant-Man, but we don't know how, LA is going to be open soon. That's always a hot spot. Luka's not leaving. I just don't know if a big name ever will come up again. And then we're just putting all the seeds in our basket for Stephon to be a championship point guard, like you're saying, in 5 years. And that's tough to count on, but we all think he has great potential. And then just building through the draft. And realistically, I know we don't like to admit it, but we haven't been drafting that hot the past couple. Obviously, Wemby and Stephon, great. But before that, it wasn't too hot. So let's just go with the question, what do we want from this season? If we want to be a real team, second round and extended, we got to go get a bigger name. I don't think Valanciunas or even just trading just one for Cam Johnson, I don't think that's making much of a difference this year. Maybe one of them and a De'Aaron Fox are another big star. But yeah, I don't think just one of these little role players is making that big of a difference on this season's team.
Well, Stu said, who knows when the next big name is going to request out or something. I feel like every time that does happen, that's what everyone says. Well, who's going to be the next guy? And it happens every year. So, I mean, Phoenix is going nowhere. It wouldn't surprise me if Devin Booker eventually asked out. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it happens every year. But I agree that Fox is a pretty damn good fit. I think he could be a championship point guard. We're not asking him, obviously, to be the number 1 guy. I think he could be a number 2. But with that being said, I don't think Sacramento's trading him. They're on a 5-game winning streak. I don't think they're going to give up on the season. They're going to stick with this group. I don't think we're going to make a huge move this year. And I would love a Cam Johnson backup center, like Reagan said. Absolutely. Can't trust Zach or Bassie. We've wanted Bassie more playing time so much, but that's not going to do anything either. So
right.
It's tough, man. If we have to give up a first for Cam Johnson, like Stu said, that could be maybe a waste of a first round pick. But going into this year, I thought probably going to be a bottom five team in the West again one more year and hope that we get two lottery picks. But yeah, that's not going to happen anymore. So it's a tough, interesting spot to be in at this point. I think I am leaning towards trying to get like the sixth seed or something. Yeah, no idea what that move is and if we're gonna make it or some other team is gonna beat us to a Cam Johnson. So yeah, we'll see what Brian Wright decides to do.
Would y'all go for Jimmy? Just a real quick
No.
yes or
Hell
no.
no.
No,
Even
he
if
is
it's just for
toxic.
even if
I
it's just
tweeted-
for a quick year and a half.
He's
I tweeted
toxic.
that out on the pod's Twitter account. I said, before y'all even ask, no, we should not trade for Jimmy
I
Butler.
saw it. I saw it. And that's why we have freaking CP for 1 year. We have Harrison for one. Like, why not just add another vet?
Bro,
we
because
get rid
Jimmy-
of Zach Collins' contract. We get rid of Trey's contract, and then
They're
and
gonna
then
want
what?
everything.
I said we
Dude.
got CP and Harrison for nothing though. We'd have
Yeah,
to
facts. For $11
Well,
million.
if we're getting rid of
and
guys that we don't even want and they're not going to be there for the future anyways, let's go for a year and a half with Jimmy.
for Jimmy, bro, he's
Dude.
played like a
And
third
then
of the
he
season so
cannot
far.
extend and leave. I do
He's-
not care.
We can only have one eccentric hairstyle on the team, and Sohan is that dude right now. But no, like on a real note, like no, Jimmy's not it's too much drama. It would never work. He wants the ball in his hands too much. He wants to skate through the regular season and try to flip the switch in the playoffs. It was miraculous 3 years ago when he did it and he led them to the finals. It was some of the craziest shit I've ever seen on a basketball court. But that was 3 years ago. He was 32. He's 35 now. He's not the same guy. He's been hurt. He's been injured. He's trying to go at Pat Riley because he's got nothing better to do than sit on the pine. I mean, no, that's not the guy. It doesn't fit, in my opinion. I don't know.
He's toxic, dude. He's just toxic in my
I think
opinion.
he
I've
is.
seen him the way he's forced his way out of
Minnesota, Philly, and now Miami.
and now Miami. I thought
I
that
mean,
was gonna be his
and
place.
he left Chicago too.
And he's getting paid like a gazillion dollars. It's like
Bazillion, $1 trillion.
Yeah, it's crazy. And you're right. That was the one like saving grace is that he does know how to win when it matters. But not if we're just gonna have him for a year. No,
That's
first
not
off,
the
no.
habits I want him to teach the young guys. Skate
Exactly.
through the regular season. No, we gotta they gotta play hard right now.
Yes, completely agree. All right, back to my take. I think I'm leaning towards Reagan's take. I think we're still taking a look at Sohan. We're trying to figure out exactly who we have, who he can be on our team, if he can be. And I think he deserves his place there in the long term. And so I'm thinking we push past the 2 steps forward, 2 steps back sort of thing that's just been happening all year. I think finally something comes together and we finally click. I don't know if y'all remember, but toward the end of, I think it was the last year we made the play-in, it was not looking good for us. And we flipped the switch and we won, a lot in a row. We won,
went on a run.
And I think we could do it again. Except for this time, I think, we won't revert, right? This is not like a team that's mid and we just get more mid, if not worse. I think we flip it and we become a playoff team and then we build from there. And so I think what we need is, what I'd like to see is Nembhard right next to Wemby. Kind of like I said in the group text, I said, I want Nemby and Wemby right next to each other. I like that idea.
Hard for Wembard.
Yes.
And who are you giving to get Nemby?
I will give Nemby. I will give up Trey Jones as much as I like him. I will give up Malachi as much as I like him. I will give up, dude, honestly, I would give up one of those lauded first round picks, whether it be like a 27 Atlanta, maybe not that, but like one. Do we have 2 Minnesota picks? I
30 and 31.
Yeah,
It's a 30 swap and an unprotected number 1 protected 31.
See, that I think to the right GM would mean a lot to somebody because
For
we know what's going to
Nembhard?
happen. Dude, I mean, he's young, he's shifty, he's got scoring, he's got the thing that we don't have off the bench, which is just like consistent shooting ability. That's number 1. Number 2, I would like to have Yaka back if possible. That would be ideal. And so if we can somehow, I don't know what the package would look like there, but just, I don't know. If it's not too much, maybe make something work, but I don't know what Toronto wants. I'm sure they want as many picks as possible
Capital,
because
yeah.
So
yeah,
I
and
don't
so
know
you're
if that
willing
would
to give up
realistic.
maybe 2 or 3 firsts for both of those guys, and that does what? You think we're winning a playoff series?
I think we can win. Well, I
I
think we
don't
can.
think we're winning a playoff series with that.
You don't.
Nope.
Okay.
See, yeah,
Because what does that change? We still don't have a number 2. Devin is not the number. He keeps showing it repeatedly night in and night out.
yeah.
We had to
The more that he shows, the more I
40-year-old
agree with you on that.
CP3 be the number 2 last night and go off for us just to freaking hold off,
My
and then
thing
we
with
still lost.
my thing with trading for a guard is that it can't be a backup guard, and
Yeah.
at least not this year, because we have Chris Paul, who we know almost certainly is going to be here this year, and that's it.
Okay.
Maybe he's here next year. Maybe he retires. Maybe he goes somewhere else. I don't know. But like this year specifically, it's going to be Chris Paul starting, and it's going to be Castle coming off the bench with Vassell or Julian or somebody. So if you trade for a Nimhard and you're giving up Branham and Trey Jones, like where neither of those guys, that's what 9 minutes here, 7 minutes there. Branham's not in the rotation. You have to play Nimhard more than that. So like you have to get rid of somebody else to make room for Nimhard's minutes in the rotation this year. I think it looks different next season, but like if you're gonna trade for a guard, I think you've got to trade away a real piece, Vassell, Johnson, Sohan, with 3 to 4 picks, and make room basically for a Fox.
I see. Yeah, I see. I think maybe, and so the other reason I say those types of players is because I still think the guy that we want to acquire, who is a number 2, may be a free agent who wants to actually sign with us. I think going back to Brian Windhorst, I mean, he's been saying this for a long time. I wouldn't be surprised if people aren't going to start lining up.
Yeah.
People's agents are literally going to be like, yo, solidify your legacy next to this guy. You know he's going somewhere, and you know he's going to get all the attention. So why not, be in every single photo that he's in for the next 5-7 years? So I don't know if the guy is out there yet or like right this second, but I think he will be in the next year or two. So I think
rather than a trade deadline.
Yes, so I think push through this, see what kind of cojones we have, and then see what happens there.
Then
but if we
the hard decisions come after the season.
Yeah.
Correct.
Are you guys just not in the slightest worried at all? We're just going to miss our window of getting a big name.
There's
and
always
trading away. I mean, we know how Devin's injury prone, bad. What if he got another leg injury? He's not playing that great right now, but he has some value right now. Keldon's playing good off the bench. Jeremy's still 21. What if we keep waiting out all these years? They're 24, 25. They don't show that they're improving at all because deadass Devin is 24. Is Devin peaking? What more can he add to his game? Deadass.
Yeah.
So if this is him, consistent. But if this is him, is that a champion? Is he a champion? Is he going to be on our
number
team?
4 on a championship
he might
team.
be like a Derek White. Better scoring ability.
Dude, because Devin White does the same shit in Boston that he does for San Antonio, but in a condensed role for them.
Yeah.
When Derek White was asked to be the number 1 or the number 2, it didn't look that great. But when he can be the number 4 guy and excel in that role, he looks like a stud, and he's a household name now. Somebody threw him on an MVP ladder.
I like that. But he's also a completely different player from Devin. Devin is a main scorer. Derek White is a ball.
Do it all.
Do it all. Yeah, get boards, take a charge, dive on the floor, put up 20 if he needs to, get 6 assists. Devin is a 20 a night points or bust. He's going to get four boards, 2 or 3 assists.
Okay.
So that's also not a good compare.
Okay, but that's what I mean. 3rd or 4th option is what I believe that he could be. 3rd at the max.
Yeah.
Right. But as to your points too, yes, there's always a possibility that we miss our window. But here's the thing. Going back to business again. All right. Going back to business. There's a book called Blink by Malcolm Gladwell. All right. This is deep science. And he says that to make an optimal decision on anything, to make a blank decision, all you need is 4 data points to make the most optimal decision. After that, it's paralysis by overanalysis, and you don't really increase your chances of making a better decision with more data that comes in. So if you know what the 4 data points are that you're looking for in any given thing, in this case, it's a player. What are the 4 data points that we're looking for? And I think our front office knows what those are, and I think that's where we're going to wait. I think that's what's going to happen. I think we're going to trust in our front office again. I think we're going to say, okay, we need this, and this in a player. And then as soon as that person becomes available, I'm sure there's got 5 or 7 names down circled. Once they become available, I think we're going to go hard
Then we
after them.
then we shove the chips in.
Yeah, I think so.
So is that a
yes,
star?
yeah, it's a star. It's a star.
So you think at some point we will go for a star?
Yes,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, I think we quite
We're
frankly
not
have
going to try to. We're not going to go the OKC route and build through the draft and keep hoping that because
Well,
OKC is hit so hard. on all their
OKC
draft
made
picks.
the trade to get SGA. They
But
traded
that was all.
Paul
That
George
was
to the
before
Clippers.
SGA was SGA.
Nobody,
too,
nobody knew he was going to be this
Yeah.
good.
No one knew SGA was going to be an MVP. We haven't hit as hard the
To get
past
Wemby.
drafts as OKC has. OKC is hitting all their picks.
Yeah.
right and right.
But I'm with Alec. I think we wait for the all-in move off of this year. We go get a little bit of depth, a center or a wing, consolidate some roster spots. Maybe we can get somebody big in free agency and not have to give up all the capital, and then we can use that capital to fill in the extra pieces. But yeah, I don't want Spurs fans to get all riled up about De'Aaron Fox midseason because I don't see it happening.
Because then my worry is this summer we just we draft another 10 to 15 pick whatever guard wing whoever, but CP3 doesn't come back. We're in the same spot, and if we don't make these moves, we're just in the same spot next year. Year 3 of Wemby, I mean, he can only do so much. Year 3 of Wemby's just still a play into eighth seed. Like, look, Steph isn't gonna be an all-star next year realistically. Like once CP3 leaves this year, then what? Where do we go then? Just keep getting 18-year-olds and waiting for them to develop?
I've thought about when CP does leave, which is most likely after this season. He's showing us the way, right? Like he's showing the young guys, okay, this is what it looks like to make a big shot in a big moment. But the young guys still have to go do that next season.
Yeah,
and so it's like,
how
much does that set us back almost in a sense, right? Like
that's what I'm saying. Like making the Nemhard trade, like CP's kind of in the way of that right now. But yeah,
But maybe we make that trade knowing, hey, look, you're going to get way more PT next year or something. Like, I don't know.
Back to the main question: what do we want from this season and the near future? Next season, are we trying to start legit winning, or are we just going to play the route of MJ and LeBron didn't win until their 7th, 8th year? Wemby, you can hold off another 5 years.
I don't think he wants to.
Exactly.
Not that long.
And God forbid, we don't want him to get angry with us. Right. He leaves. I'm no longer a Spurs fan. If he were ever to leave, that would mean we would have completely blown it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With who he is. You're right. All right. I won't get worked up. I won't get worked up. But I'm just scared of missing the moment is my main point.
Yeah.
Waiting too long.
And I feel
Wemby
you
isn't
there.
like everyone else. Wemby is a generational talent. We start winning now.
Right.
I feel you.
Yeah. But then back to my point, I think we know what we're looking for, but it's not like we're just saying, okay, well, this looks good. And, but they got this and this person's got that. I think we know exactly what we're looking for. We just haven't seen them yet, if they're not available yet.
They're not in the league.
No, they're in the league. I think they're in the league.
It's just not going to happen this season. It could happen in the off season.
That doesn't
mean it's going to happen.
LaMarcus
Aldridge. We're going to wait 4 or 5 years from now. Like it could happen in the off season. Yeah. I agree with Alec that we have a vision and we're going to go after, I don't know who it is, but we're going to go after a star at some point. It's just not going to be this season.
Right. And by the way,
then let's just be 40 and 42 and okay, we're going to lose in the play. Everyone's good with that? Perfect.
No, I think
good season, boys. Good season.
I'm glad you're back, Stuart.
Good season, fellas.
A couple things to wrap up here. One thing I love sharing. Tim's a fan. I know Kirk Goldsberry shared his weekly efficiency landscape on January 3rd, the last 10 games. Spurs moved back into the quadrant of WOW. We are what looks to be a top 10 defense, and we've moved into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. About a middle of the road offense right now, but we've made a big old step in our defensive efficiency ever since we've gotten healthy. I think that's really cool to see. I want us to keep that up. If we can figure out some of these struggles in late game, we're going to be moving way up in that quadrant of WOW and really making some noise. A couple other Wemby milestones. If y'all have comments on this, Vic's 100th career game. He had totaled 2,273 points, which was more than LeBron. 1,053 rebounds, which was more than Elijah Wan and Anthony Davis and Duncan, and 366 blocks, which was more than Mutombo and Elijah Wan and Duncan and Robinson and Mourning and everybody
Jeez.
else. Those marks, 2,273 points, 1,053 rebounds, and 366 blocks. The only other player to reach those totals across their first 100 games played. Can anybody guess it?
D-Rob, wasn't it?
The Admiral, David
Ah,
Robinson. Yeah, fellow
Yeah.
Spur. I thought that was awesome.
Dude,
Which
he's so good. He's
and
so
our buddy
good.
Gabe Perez kind of pointed out, like as far as the points go, David Robinson might deserve to have a little referendum done on his career because he was scoring like that before three-pointers were prevalent. He was not taking 9 3-pointers a game.
Dude, so true. Gosh, that's so true.
Nuts.
Man. And now here's now to Wemby's defense. Wemby's 2021, D-Rob was 24 going into his rookie year, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
still, I don't care, dude. You're right. I think the 3-point thing or lack thereof and still scoring that much and rebounding that much, that is wild, dude. He's
Yeah.
an
I mean,
absolute
and
legend, dude.
coming off of his 4 years of naval service. Yeah. It's not like he was playing basketball all day.
Right. Oh
So,
gosh,
um,
he's such a legend. He's so good. I love him. And
crazy.
he's such a good guy. He's such an amazing person.
Yeah, still
From what we
very
know.
active in Spurs community.
Yeah.
Also, posted on January 3rd, Wemby went through the 8 game stretch, and this probably had a lot to do with us moving up into the quadrant of WoW on Goldsberry's landscape. The 8 game stretch, 32 points per game, 10.3 rebounds, 4.9 blocks on a 52, 43, 85% shooting split line. Absolutely bonkers numbers. The last player to average at least 30, 10, and 4.5 blocks in an 8 game span was Shaquille O'Neal in the year 2000. That was the year that Shaq won MVP, All-Star Game MVP, and Finals MVP. So, again, Wemby just putting himself in absolutely absurd elite conversations.
Now, this is funny. I'm trying to bridge the gap here. I'm trying to thread this needle, but I was thinking about this and what Stu was saying. He could only do so much. And then it brought me back to that commercial of that Kobe Bryant commercial and Kanye West. Do you remember that? Like that Nike commercial where he's
Yeah,
like,
mama mentality.
yeah, mama mentality. He's like more successful. Yeah. He's like, but I'm the best. He's like, but are you a different animal and the same beast? He's like, what the does that mean, Kobe Bryant? That commercial. Is that what Wemby's gonna be saying? But
He's
I'm the
on his
best.
way.
I'm the best. What else do you want from me? Yeah,
What
like
does that mean, Kobe Bryant?
more Wemby. We need more. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's
good.
good stuff. Alec went off on the national media 2 weeks ago, episode 12. Specifically, who was it? Lou Will went on Beatles podcast, and we were all like, man, get this clown imposter 6 man award winner off of our screens and bring in somebody who actually knows ball. She heard us. She brought in DeMarcus Cousins onto her podcast, and DeMarcus Cousins basically said that at minimum, Victor Wembanyama will go down in history as the best defensive player to ever play the game of basketball.
Mm.
At minimum. That's
That's
just the
crazy.
defensive side, not anything else. So, and Lou Will was on the same podcast episode listening to DeMarcus Cousins go off, and he's just kind of looking over there like, yeah, I guess you're right. I guess that kind of makes sense. Duh, duh, duh. Oh yeah, she legit heard us and brought in somebody to come defend Wemby's name.
Totally. She just didn't add us. That was the problem. Come on, Michelle. I thought we were tight. No?
We want our credit.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Good for Boogie Cousins. I was never a fan of him, obviously, when we were playing against him, but he was always, he was always great, and he always had nice things to say, great things to say about Timmy D. So yeah. Looking ahead, boys, we've got not an easy schedule coming up. We've got that's why we should have won. Should have taken care of business,
Yep.
right? So we've got the Bucks tomorrow, over there. We've got a
On ESPN.
Yeah. On
Ooh.
ESPN.
On ESPN. Let's go. Then we've got the Lakers over, actually 2 games. We've got Lakers on January 11th, that Saturday, and then Lakers again, both in LA. And that second one's going to be on January 13th. And then We come back home. We play the Grizzlies on January 15th. So that's gonna be a tough stretch. Actually, kind of like we talked about, the rest of January is not going to be easy. So I don't know what this is going to look like for us. Maybe hopefully we can figure some stuff out and break through in that time frame. But man, I really wish we would have beat the Bulls there.
There's not another team on our schedule in January that is below 500 today.
Yep.
Every single team is 500 or better. Lakers twice, Grizzlies twice, Bucks twice, Pacers twice, and then you sprinkle in the Clippers and the Heat. The Heat are 17 and 17 right now
Okay. Okay. Yeah. 500.
with Butler suspended.
Yeah.
Wild, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go ahead and start us off, and then y'all will. But I mean, yeah, like y'all have just been saying right there, we talked about it probably 2 or 3 pods ago, where we were like, right now's the time around Christmas time and into the new year. We were like, this next 10 game stretch, we should at least get 7, 8 wins. Didn't happen, and now we're back, still 500. Have this coming up. We're kind of regressing right now these past couple games. I'm gonna go. So what? We have 3 games until next pod. Lakers, Bucks. I'm
Yes.
gonna go.
Bucks, Lakers. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 1 and
All the
2.
way.
1 and 2. We lose tomorrow and split with the Lakers.
Okay.
Next pod, we're below 500, and then just even tougher after that. But 1 and 2 for the week.
Gosh, I think we can edge out the Bulls or the Bucks. Sorry, not the Bulls. I think we can edge out the Bucks. And then I think we split the Lakers. So I think 2-1.
Yeah, I put it out on my personal Twitter that we're gonna beat the Bucks, lose to the Lakers the first game, and then come back and win the Lakers the second time. So yeah, 1 and 2. I'm with y'all, but it's a WLW.
I agree with Alec and Reagan. Yeah, 2-1. I think Wemby slightly outduels Giannis tomorrow. And I'll say we lose the first Lakers game and win the second one.
The Lakers have had our number this year. That's the team.
They definitely
We're already
have.
0-2 against them.
I know. We have not
Maybe if
looked.
LeBron or AD sits one of the two, that'd be nice.
No, I want AD to play, and I want Wemby to finally have his vengeance, dude. He still hasn't risen to the challenge, man. But
He's got to play one of those games.
yeah. All right. Yeah, we'll see, boys. I think that's good. I think that's a good way to wrap it up. We're in the middle right now. We're in the middle, literally the middle of the season almost.
Dog days.
The dog days. We're in between years and a year, beginning a year, and as a team, chemistry wise and momentum wise, we're sort of just in the middle. So this is really interesting times. We'll see how it goes. A lot to look forward to. A lot of cool stuff's been happening, but then also a lot to improve on, a lot of question marks. So stay tuned, boys.
This is where seasons are made, guys. The next 2 or 3 weeks. The cup's over. Trade deadline 6 weeks out. This is where we prove to the front office, are we good enough? Do we deserve to go get help and make a push? Or do we not? Are we sellers at the deadline? Yep, Tim. Yeah, are we buyers or are we sellers? This is the time. So we'll see what the young fellows are made out of.
I think that'll do it. Until next time.
All right, boys. Well, everybody, thanks for the support. Go give us a follow, a subscribe on YouTube. Love the support. We're hearing from our French listeners on YouTube. We love it. I don't know how you say Happy New Year, but Joy New Year, I guess, to our French listeners. Keep it coming. The analysis has been great. The love has been great.
Yes.
And we will see y'all in one more week from the Spurs Bros. Go Spurs, go.